Hey, welcome back. It's June 13th. I'm in one of my Friday walk-in videos, and I'm going to give a latest roundup of this week's news on crypto and Bitcoin. Now, the first segue that I've got here is around Bitcoin macroeconomics and the trend that we're seeing around corporations adopting themselves as Bitcoin treasury companies. They are on the rise. So let's jump into the details of this segue. So Bitcoin, as we are seeing these last 2 days, have actually tumbled down to $103,900 amid Israeli military action in Tehran. Israeli forces have bombed targets in Iran's capital, as confirmed by Al Jazeera, following a report by Axios. Now, Israeli President Netanyahu said his country is aiming to remove Iran's ballistic missile capabilities and that strikes will last until the threat has been neutralized, i.e. removed. Other news: softer than expected US inflation has likely set the stage for more accelerated gains in Bitcoin, potentially up to $200,000 by year end, according to a strategist at 21 shares. Next up is the Consumer Prices Index. There's been some reports that have been released out in the US where they've shown that there's a rise of 0.1% last month below economist expectations, which could actually prompt the Federal Reserve to ease policy on rate cuts. So traders still remain optimistic in future rate cut occurrences by the Fed during the course of this year. And I expect to see this trend to also apply to other large economies by their central banks. So this train journey on the cheap money era is set to continue, at least for the remainder of this year and perhaps Q1, Q2 of next. Let's move on to the bit about the Bitcoin treasuries. Now, Japan's Metaplanet is aiming to raise $5.4 billion to buy 210,000 Bitcoins by the year 2027, pivoting from hotels to becoming the world's second largest Bitcoin treasury titan, just after Strategy, as you know, just been headed by Marco Saylor, has the largest Bitcoin holdings in its corporate treasury reserve, more or less oscillating 570,000 Bitcoin holdings. Impressive. And the next one is GameStop, aiming for another $1.75 billion issuance following their recent Bitcoin stash. Now, public companies are rapidly becoming Bitcoin acquirers. So the bottom line of this segue is the US Reserve, Japan's Metaplanet and GameStop, they're all mainstream corporates now stacking on Bitcoin. And this train of thought is going to continue for the rest of the publicly registered companies, not just within the US. I've just cited you a non-US firm, Metaplanet, which is Japanese, in effect leading the Japanese index in terms of the most profitable company, most valuable company in the country. So I'm going to see this train of thought to apply to the rest of the non-US as well as the remainder of the US corporations. Really need to watch this space. So with everything that I've said in the above, the strategy remains the same for Bitcoin investors, is when in doubt, zoom out and buy on the dips to continue on stacking those sats and to hodl in the long term. Right, next news I have is on Web3's real-world assets tokenization boom. Now, Ethereum remains the top layer 1 pick, with Ethereum network revenue in May rose by 162.5%, which far outpaces other blockchains. Now, for comparison, Solana's revenue increased by just 19.3%, reflecting the slowdown in the meme coin activity that had previously fueled its growth. Now, the altcoin rotation may be around the corner, with Solana showing bullish technical patterns and analysts eyeing a summer shift into Ethereum and Solana. Now, real-world asset tokenization jumped over 260% in the first half of 2025. So the market grew from $8.6 billion to $23 billion, with institutional private credit and treasury tokenization leading the way, which makes total sense given the growing need of governments around the world to print more money, to raise more debt, and to accommodate private debt needs accordingly. Now, top RWA altcoins are surging, with Zebek, Plume, and Origin Trail all up 15 to 20% on solid institutional interests. Now, the bottom line here is clear. With $23 billion on-chain real-world assets and the spotlight tokenization trend set to explode with key tokens coming out in all directions onto the blockchain market. So we need to watch this space. So the last piece of news that I have is around the stablecoin bill in the US have actually got passed this week by the US Senate with its first significant vote, 68 in favor to 30 against, on the long-awaited stablecoin bill, bringing final approval within reach. Now, this legislation momentum is mirrored in the House of Representatives, where a clear market structure bill cleared 2 essential committees on Tuesday this week. So in summary, I have actually explained in one of my other videos, which is all the more reason why you ought to subscribe to my channel to learn a little bit more and feast your eyes on those videos, where I explained that stablecoins play a pivotal role in the broader crypto market because they are the digital currencies. They're the ones that are going to bring the analog capital, the fiat capital, into the digital realm to be able to support users in their medium of exchange transactions, whether it's buying those day-to-day expenses over the internet or in the merchants or in shops, in grocery stores, supermarkets. That is the perfect medium of choice to make those payments using stablecoins, and also to make overseas payments, because stablecoins, one of the many advantages that it has, it provides that cross-borderless transaction digital rails to facilitate those payments instantaneously settle on the blockchain at a fraction of a second, at a fraction of a cost. If you compare that in the SWIFT system, it usually takes a lot of days. There are several middlemen involved. So really, stablecoins do play that perfect medium of exchange, not to be confused, mind you, as a store of value. For me personally, store of value, the ultimate digital gold there is Bitcoin. So this is all that I have for you today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget the like button, to share the video, and if you haven't done so already, to please subscribe to my channel. So invest wisely and invest in Bitcoin. Until next time.